Childhood, its memories and what they entailed. The subtle stream of memories flowing mightily through our minds. The span of such a tender time, peering retrospectively through the rose-coloured lens. It brings back the smell of freshly cut grass, or the tranquility of a rainy day. The memorial baggage weighs in on my hands, in on my palms, evoking from within me feelings of freedom and limitlessness. A space wherein most of these moments shape the person that I am today, like when I used to peer up at the London skies, allowing the promising blue of dawn and a triumph of sunset to reassure me. See, it was there that I became bonded to my dreams. See, this is what childhood does. It shapes us, it molds us, and eventually, it reminds us. See, I remember the days spent with friends, family, and loved ones. They look like the older kids we used to look up to. It feels like being embraced, celebrated. But like most precious things, we're often at times reminded of how quickly it was all over. I guess you could say that at some point we forget it all, that the memories might fade. The older we get, we try our best to distance ourselves from these memories, from these spaces. But I believe they remain, borrowed within our hearts, unmoving within our souls. See, I always said I wanted to leave town, in pursuit of something bigger than myself, see bigger things. It almost seems like an attempt to get as far away from who I once was. Yet the further I've gone, the more I struggle with the possibility that I've simply lived too much to turn back or felt too much to move on. What I've found is that our journeys always bring us back to all the things we once took for granted, to all the things only venturing off could bring us to acknowledge and to deeply appreciate. See, I asked myself if it was even possible to truly become the person that we're supposed to be without leaving something behind. Through all the joy, through the challenges, through the celebration, and even through the loss, they all come together to determine our futures, shaping our dreams and nightmares. It's almost as though it's not entirely oneself, but the world that defines us. Don't you think it's strange?
I think childhood is purity. I think you're experiencing things for the first time. As you get older, you sort of adopt the mentality of how you should react to things. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that I'm shaped by the world. I think it all comes down to when you finally become completely comfortable with yourself.
What emotions do you get from those experiences when you remember it or when you think about it, especially as a child?
In your mind, when you're in these predominantly white spaces, you behave within yourself. You're not authentically yourself all the time. You're making sure you're not too big or too loud, so you're not intimidating people in any way, shape, or form. All the time, it's to make sure other white people feel comfortable in your presence. I think that's
I hear it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the world has shaped the way you saw yourself?
I'm like wind almost. Like I can just go anywhere. You get what I mean? How I feel that's my identity is I can just be anywhere and do anything and be anything. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I'm a fish out of water, because I feel like the entire world is my ocean. You know what I mean?
What does childhood mean to you?
I think childhood is hope. It's hope. It's so desperate to grow up. you're desperate to grow up thinking that you're gonna be yourself. You're gonna fit smoothly into the world just as you are. And then as you grow up and you start to gain an understanding of how other people perceive you through no fault of your own, sort of that hope can be dimmed a lot. That sort of optimism you had can be dimmed a lot. And so you have to make a conscious choice to sort of get back to that version of yourself, that childlike version of yourself that was optimistic, that was so ready to go into the world without really thinking about whether you properly fit in or not, regardless of, it's just the most hopeful, most optimistic version of yourself. I think that's childhood. Yeah.